Hi, my name's Chloe. I'm a teacher, and today I'm going to talk to you about how we can promote student collaboration and peer assessment with Edrolo. All right, so what do we mean by this? Often when we talk about collaborative learning, we know that we're talking about students working together, but we want to make sure that they're not working in isolation of one another in a group. We want to make sure that they're obviously interacting and truly working together. Peer assessment takes things a step further and actually gets students evaluating each other's progress and then providing feedback on each other's work, usually using a set of protocols that we'll talk about today. So why do we do this? Well, we know that the research shows that when students work together and learn from one another, there are a myriad of benefits. The ones that I think that are most important are that it improves students' higher order thinking skills, their ability to communicate and to communicate clearly, and it also prepares them for real life situations. Okay, so before we look at some examples, I'm just going to direct you to the additional resources tab, where you'll find access to our knowledge bank, where you can find out more about collaboration and peer assessment, and also to the Edrolo blog, where you can find out so much more about pedagogy and best practice in teaching and learning. So for our first example, we're going to look at how students can utilize peer feedback using the platform. So after the students have gone in and completed their review questions, which you'll find here, you'll see that you get all of that data as the teacher. But what you can do is you can select a number of questions that you think are particularly challenging or worth providing some peer feedback on, and then get your students to revisit those questions. So you can see this question here requires students to write this in their workbooks, which is perfect because then they can just swap books and then give each other some feedback. Now, I think it's worth using a protocol to do this. So you can use the Edrolo checklists as a guide and get your students to use those in order to give some feedback to their partner. So they can go through and say, okay, well, yes, you've done this first dot point, which is great. However, you need to do this one as your next steps. And that gives them a bit of a guide and a bit of a structure. So then they're not just saying, great work, for example, which I know I've seen all too often. They also have a video solution that they can go and access if they need a little bit more support or a bit more guidance in making sure that they give some proper feedback. Another example is to use a different protocol. So one that I've often liked to use that you might have used before is called the tag protocol. And that's where students can give feedback by telling a positive, asking a question, and giving a suggestion. Okay, so for this example, we're going to look at multiple choice misconceptions. So for this, you need to make sure that your students have gone in and watched their videos and completed the multiple choice questions, and then you can jump in and have a look at the data. What we can see here is that this first question seems to be a question that was quite challenging for the class. This last one, a little bit less so. And so we can actually jump into that first question and use this as part of our example. Now from here, I would get students working in pairs or small groups, and then get them to watch the video solution so that they all understand the correct answer, and then go through and have a look at all of the incorrect answers and be able to understand and explain why that is incorrect. So why is that a misconception? So we're really unpacking things here. If you'd like to take things a step further, get them to take one of these incorrect answers and actually create their own question where the misconception is the correct answer. As an alternative, you can also get students to swap their questions that they've created and then have a go at answering them. So for example 3, we're going to look at how we can do a self-reflection gallery walk. So firstly, I just want to signpost that if you are going to do this, please make sure that your students are regularly going into the videos and self-reflecting quite honestly on their progress, because you will need this data to help set you up for the gallery walk. Once your students have done this, you can have a look at the topic progress, and this is going to give you a bit of an overview of how your students have gone for an entire topic. So once we're in, what I want you to look at is the average rating scores for each lesson. And it's a good idea to probably pick about 3 of those topics that are the lowest scoring. So for example, I might pick this first topic here, the measuring biodiversity, and then I can also see this one here, not all limits are self-imposed, are probably my lowest scoring. So those are going to become my 3 topics that my students can choose from to do their gallery walk. So let's look at how we can do that now. So for the gallery walk, students are going to work in groups on those 3 topics that we've selected as those lowest scoring ones. As part of their revision, they're then going to create their own posters. This could be done digitally or online, and that needs to include all of the essential information for that little topic that they're looking at. Once that's complete, students will engage in a little gallery walk where they move around the room and provide feedback on each other's work. I would recommend using a protocol such as the TAG protocol for this, where students tell a positive, ask a question, and give a suggestion. And that means that at the end, each of those groups is going to have a range of different feedback as part of the collective knowledge from the class that's going to help them identify what their next steps should be as they improve their work.